Hello, Facebook family. It is Facebook Live Wednesday here at Carolina Hearing Services. I'm Dr. Abby Connell here in Charleston, South Carolina. And today's Facebook Live topic is hearing protection. Why is it important? Biggest reason hearing protection is super important is because our hearing system is actually super delicate. We don't think too much about our ears, quite honestly. If a light is too bright, we quickly put on sunglasses, or we turn off the lights if we have a headache. We always start to dim things down when we're talking about our vision. But let's talk about dimming things down with our hearing. A lot of people are familiar with some of the over-the-counter little foam earplugs. You might also be familiar with some of the muffs that can be used a lot at gun ranges and in firearm practices. But it's not just about using specific hearing protection devices. It's also about being open and aware of what are dangerous sound levels in your everyday environment. Our hearing system is made up of millions of little hair cells. And while the hair on our head can grow back most of the time, the hairs in our inner ears cannot, and those are called stereocilia. And the cilia are little nerves that are there and responsible to transmit sound from your environment and send it up to the brain so that it can make sense. And while we love how sophisticated our hearing is, we have to be aware that not just things like loud music and concerts are damaging to our ears, but we also have to think about how much time we're spending in any particular environment. Anyone that's ever worked in a factory setting where there is lots of machine noises, you may even have been exposed to being offered hearing protection by your employer. OSHA is a group that monitors workplace environments for safety, and that includes making sure that any place of work that has a consistent noise level of 80 decibels or more, the employer is actually required to provide hearing protection. But what does 80 decibels mean? Do we really know? Regular conversation, like you're typically talking to people every day, falls around 55 to 60 decibels. However, every time you're out there mowing your lawn, blowing the leaves, even maybe working in the shop with some power tools, you are consistently being exposed to noise levels over that 80 decibel range. So what you want to think about is not just, let me turn my music down, but every time you're out there working on the lawn, building anything, working with compressors, going to gun ranges, if you always are listening to music under headphones or earbuds, there's no real limits on what is acceptable levels of noise. So you always want to be extremely aware of how to protect all those little nerve cells or cilia in your inner ears. That's not only going to help you to protect yourself from hearing loss, but it's also going to help protect from something called tinnitus or tinnitus. Both pronunciations are correct, but what it is it's a ringing of the ears. And a lot of times it is directly related to hearing loss or noise exposure. Most people that do have hearing loss have associated ringing of the ears. It's not necessarily always ringing for some people. It can also be cricket-like sounds. Some people describe it as ocean waves. Either way, whatever your internal head noises are, they're being caused by damage to those little hair cells or cilia. And if you've ever been to a loud concert and found yourself leaving that concert feeling like your ears are plugged, maybe sounding like you're in a barrel, you might also get some of that whoosh, whoosh, whoosh sound. If it tends to go away the next day, that lets you know that you've actually had something called a temporary threshold shift, which means that there has in fact been damage to those little hair cells, but not enough at that exposure to be permanent. The more and more you are exposed to those loud sounds, the likelihood of that permanent ringing and permanent damage to the hearing system, it becomes higher, much more highly likely that you will incur permanent damage. But it's important to note that it only takes one noise exposure. One dangerous noise exposure can give you permanent hearing loss and permanent ringing. So the next time that you're going out to mow the lawn, go to the gun range, or just go to work at the construction site or in the manufacturing facility or any kind of plant type facility, you want to make sure that you're protecting your hearing. You will notice on most packaging for the little foam plugs, for example, that there is an NRR or a noise reduction rating. All hearing protection devices have noise reduction ratings, and it's important to know what the rating of your device is when properly used, as well as knowing whether that's going to be enough protection for whatever the job is that you're doing. If you are working on the flight lines or working near jet engines, just using a foam earplug with a 15 decibel noise reduction rating is probably not enough to protect you from permanent hearing loss. You would want to be using something more like a foam plug plus the higher noise reduction rating muffs. You can also get custom plugs that can reduce the background noise or reduce noise in general by about up to 35 decibels. Those are very inexpensive, typically no more than $150 a pair or $75 a piece, just for some standard 30 to 35 decibel noise reduction. There's also a lot more sophisticated noise reduction that can be used with hunters or even people who drive cars that also can have radios in them. So when you think about NASCAR or any of the monster truck series, they're really exposed to a lot of loud noise, but they also need to be able to hear in the radio to the person that's in their pit crew. So you can go all the way up into super expensive hearing protection devices, upwards of $1,500 to $3,000 a set, if you need them to be more digitally enhanced or electronic of any kind so that they're actually processing different sounds and frequencies as well. For your everyday noise reduction, mowing the lawn, using power tools, using a foam plug coupled with the muffs is definitely going to be a great tool to help you keep and protect what you have. Everyone out there with little kids or not so little kids who are constantly listening to music or gaming systems like Minecraft, Fortnite, Xbox, PlayStation, the list goes on and on. There is no limit really to what those headphones are allowing through to the hearing system. So if you can hear your kids' sounds when they have their headphones on, I promise it's too loud. Make sure to turn it down, keep those ears protected, and you'll be hearing really well for years and years to come. But of course, if you start noticing that ringing in your ears, or if you're noticing your hearing is declining, please reach out to your local audiologist or hearing healthcare provider. Here in Charleston, South Carolina, you can always come see me, Dr. Abby Connell, at Carolina Hearing Services. Our direct office line is 843-556-4327. I hope you guys enjoyed our Wednesday Facebook Live topic on the importance of hearing protection. And as always, reach out if you have any questions. Have a great week.